What is happening, everybody? We are here for the summer edition of the market update. We're going to go through a couple of year-over-year changes, show you some things on a national level, and we have a special guest today, Jaimes. I'm excited to break this down. We are having a little bit of technical difficulties and getting those worked out for Joel to join us in. But in the meantime, I wanted to go ahead and get us rocking and rolling. We'll be right back. Love that thing every time I see it. That thing gets me pumped up. All right, guys. So we're going to break down some pretty important things that are going on here and kind of go through it for you guys, help you. If you have any thoughts in the back of your head, please, ask the questions here. I'll have the private chat up here and we'll go through them. There's a lot happening in the real estate market. It's a very heavy seller's market. But on the flip side of that, there's a lot of things that we're going to break down today about why buying right now isn't really the craziest idea, and break down some of the concerns that people have and reservations that we hear commonly, but then show you the data and why we say that it doesn't quite add up. So I'm going to get started while Joel's getting settled in. Let me share my screen here, get over to this one. Awesome. Remove that. All right, guys. So this data is put together by us. I definitely want to give credit to SunStats. It's a great resource for agents to use, provided by Florida Realtors. If you go to that website and look there, you'll see SunStats. It helps break some of this down, and keeping current matters because that's an absolute dime. Like, I love keeping current matters. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Oop. Let me see here. I see. Okay. Pull this. All right. So talking about buyer demand, home buyer demand is pretty crucial right now. I'm going to add Joel, and he's here. Joel, what's happening, man?
Hey, James, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Absolutely.
All right. Sorry, I had a little technical difficulties going on. So thank you for bringing me on.
Anytime, man. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
All right, let's get started.
All right. So the first thing we're going to go through here. Here, hold on 1 second. Joel, just come over here and join me. We were trying to figure out how to help with that, and you can't have fun when you're having fun. So Joel's here, and Joel's going to hear my voice because I definitely talk loud, and everyone can always hear me. And just go ahead and talk into this, and we'll make sure we're getting some voice level. Joel.
All right, not a problem.
Cool. All right, so let's get back into the presentation here. All right. So first thing we're going to talk about here, and Joel, give your insight because you've been out there in the trenches a whole lot recently, selling a bunch of real estate. The buyer demand, that's kind of the fuel behind this whole fire. And is that accurate? Would you say that on a scale from 0 to 100, you're around 80? You would give it an 86 or higher in terms of buyer demand?
Absolutely. There's so many buyers out there that we're working with. We have a database full, and they're hungry. We're out there trying to show them houses every day and trying to get them into something. But the market's tough. But lately we've been killing it. We've been making it happen, being creative and getting those contracts for our buyers.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. That's what we got to do is come up with ways to. That's the point of being an expert, right? Find a way to help us win. Let's change this up. You got to be on camera, Joel. All right. So we're going to start out with some year-over-year changes here in Hernando and Pasco County, the two counties that we mostly focus in. We definitely service Hernando, Pasco, or Hernando and Citrus, Hillsborough, and Pasco, but these are the two that we mostly focus on. So active inventory. This is homes that are available on the market when they take these data points. So this is leading up into May, and as you could imagine, rewinding back to May, June 2020, that's where interest rates dropped, and the Fed was giving them up at 0%, and it led people to have refi rates and purchase rates under 3%, and that drove this to begin, where we started to see the more demand that there was, the higher that the prices became. And I remember back then when COVID hit, I was scared to death. I was looking at my teammates, and I didn't know what to say. Because you're concerned if the whole thing's going to go kaput. They were making all sorts of changes, couldn't get toilet paper. So it's crazy to see this develop. And, we're going to compare this as Hernando County, jumping over into Pasco. Very similar curves, like not very much difference between the two. Makes sense. The lower the interest rate is, raised buyer demand instantaneously, and that buyer demand only builds over time, because if you have more buyers and you have houses and more buyers are coming into the market each month, those are going to stack until you get to a point like this where the inventory is hammered and you have a pool of buyers that are all just sitting there looking to buy.
Yeah, and as that goes on, obviously that's what drove down the houses that were out on the market, and builders can't build them fast enough, so they're not being able to keep up with it. But you see a steady decline in inventory, and that's because of all that, they can afford more houses than they could in the past. So that's really what's causing this downward turn, but now it's starting to kind of level off.
Yep, and we're going to dive into that here in just a second. So a little bit of a yo-yo here, but the difference between active and new is active is when these data points are taken, how many properties are active on the market. New is showing you how many hit each month. So, when we take May of 21, we're looking at close to 450. You rewind to May of 2020, 575. So, great thing is coming into December, which is obviously a low month, holiday season, things will decline. Now we're coming into the beginning of the year. We're actually seeing an uptick heading back up, and then we took a little bit of a decline in May. But let's compare that to Pasco and see where that's at. So yeah, like the increase is up, and this is twofold, right? So we've got sellers who are like, holy crap, Nancy down the road just got 300,000 for her house. Honey, it might be time. We can get that fourth bedroom. We can get that pool. So your new listings people are starting to catch up because of the prices. And this is great for buyers, but here's, where it is for sellers is the longer that this continues to go up, the buyer pool is going to get brought back down. And that's combined with the interest rates going back up to where if you're thinking about selling, that now is the perfect time. The inventory is so low. And I mean, when's the last time you wrote a contract that wasn't against other offers?
I can't even remember.
I mean,
this there's more new listings coming up on the market every day. So for those people that are on the fence about selling, really your competition is starting to grow. So you really need to make a decision sooner rather than later if you want to get the most money for your house.
and we're going to make that real here a little late in a later slide with not from us, but some predictions from Fannie Mae and some different big lending institutions, what's going to happen leading into 2022. That combined with this, if it's something you're entertaining and you want to see, We have a lot of programs. In terms of if I sell or if I go, we can utilize knock, which gives you the ability to purchase next, first, have one payment, and then sell afterwards. There's a couple of factors there, but definitely ask the questions. It's something where Joel and I, or actually our entire team, we focus on relationships. We know that you're not likely to buy today, but at the same time, we want you to know that you have an expert that you can call, and we're here to help you, and we're here for life. It's not just, oh, you're not buying a house tomorrow. Okay. No. What is it? What is it that's got you curious? And let's build off of that. All right. So new listings we got there. New listings we got there. There it is. So this chart, there's one that's not here, and it's underneath, and it shows the actual percentage month over month. When it says 100, like every one of them was 100, and I know that just from running CMAs day in day out that this is actually over 100%. Median time to contracts 5-6 days. I mean, Joel, there's a question, right? So you haven't written an offer against not against multiple offers. What percentage of your contracts are over asking that you're writing?
90%. I mean, we're really not. As long as they're not crazily overpriced, the asking price is minimum where you need to start at. But there's also other factors that we throw in there. Waiving inspection period. That we get creative with to make sure that we're more competitive with somebody that may have a higher offer.
Absolutely. And you're touching into something where, like, this is, I've seen that the consumer is a lot more open to working with an agent right now. And that's probably because they've gotten tortured, right? Like, you start out in this market. You had a mailing put on your post yesterday. Like, thank God, because we've been through 6 different agents. And a big thing that separates us is really our desire to seek knowledge, right? So we want to know before we ever write an offer, where is this house sitting, right? Like, if it's priced at $170 a square foot, but the nearest comp within a mile last sold for 150, we're going to tell our clients possibly before we even show it. Listen, guys, like, I'm fine to go show this with you, but here's the thing: is you're looking at a house that may be 40,000 overpriced. If we come in on day one, write an offer, that's awesome. Maybe we get considered, or maybe it just gets used for urgency to push another offer to happen. We might be better off just to wait a week on this one. Go see it next week if it's still there, and see if they're open to a price reduction. But people are definitely, the pricing on a property right now is pretty important.
And that's when we have to show our value to our clients. Is make sure that we are the experts. Some of them will go by their heart. They're like, "Oh my God, I love this house." Well, slow down. If it's going to be overpriced, I'm going to tell you that. I'm not here. I'm here to build, like James said, build relationships. I'm not here to, put somebody in a house and make sure that you're happy where you're at and you're paying the right price.
It's what it's all about. It's we're here for the lifelong journey. We're career real estate agents. We don't want to be here for one house. We want to be here the whole ride. So as you can see, extremely accurate. And like this breaks down to one simple thing in my eyes, right? Interest rates drop coming into May, June of last year. All of a sudden, buyer demand goes up. And when buyer demand goes up, your median percent of what people are going to offer for the house is going to go up with it because you have more competition. So these are just about exactly the same. Again, super correlated. Some of this stuff is logic based, but like I like to break it down in data. There's a good question. What's it like being a realtor right now when a property hits the market and it's priced well and it's got good finishes?
So first thing, you have to jump on it right away. Send it to your buyer right away. Say, hey,
we're like firefighters. We're like going down.
If we hear about it the day before, we're gonna try to get you in that next morning. Let's get in there, get up early in the morning, and jump in there and make sure you like it. And try to make it as tempting as possible.
Yep.
Because right now, people are putting it up on Thursday, and most of the time they're not.
Craziness. So just to break these down, because it might be a little small, people watching on your phone, about 6 days in Hernando County is the median time to contract. In Pasco, you're right about 5. So pretty fast. That's median. So that includes all the properties that are overpriced. And the reason the median is 5, right? Like our strategy when we list a property is we like to list on a Thursday, open house on the weekend, pushes urgency. We're going to decide on Monday. So that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And basically, as soon as it's listed, it's going to go. And that's where pricing, if you're thinking about selling your home, pricing is incredibly important because you really wouldn't know on the consumer side if you left 20,000 on the table right now.
Right.
Like you'd have no clue. You'd be like, "Oh my God, it's exciting. We got 10 offers. We got 20 offers." Meanwhile, one sold a few weeks ago, price per square foot and amenities brought it to be pushing yours kind of up to 20,000. You would have gotten the same amount of offers with a different pricing point. Median sale price. This is the number one nut and bolt of what everybody really wants to know and see. So, I feel as though it's actually like you can feel it, right? Like you look at the same kind of houses and you're like, oh shit, really? No way. Over and over. I mean, is this pretty accurate what you're seeing on this?
Absolutely. And that big jump from June to last year to May, this January to May of this year, I mean, pricing has skyrocketed. And, we have to stay ahead of the curve to, stay competitive and win those offers.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, just breaking this down, I know it's small on people's phones in January. So you have these two here, which is the holiday season. You're going to see a little bit of a lull always. And then from January, okay, time to get back to work and find my house. So we go from Hernando County, 210,000 to, I mean, just call it 248, 38,000. And this is aggregate data.
Right. And that's just since January. And as people start coming back from vacation and their kids going back to school, that kind of last little push. So they're still going to be, that's still going to be continuing to grow here in the next few months.
Absolutely. And it's pretty cool how we're breaking it down, Hernando and Pasco, because like you kind of see that it's the same, right? Like in each area, you're going to see very similar characteristics. And there it is again. It's almost exactly the same when you compare those two curves. So you've seen the decline over the holidays, coming back January, time to get back to work. Homeowners in Pasco looks like, call it 265 in January was the median sale price. We're up to 300. So this isn't even to July because the data isn't updated. This is from January to May. Your house became in Pasco and in Hernando County, the median sale price went up 40,000.
That's amazing. That's Florida right now. All the northers are coming down, pushing those prices up, and it's just continuing to grow right now. And that's everywhere. Like Pasco, Hernando, if we get Hillsborough, probably do the same thing.
Yep.
And just across Florida.
Crazy. All right, so we're going to dive into some information from Keeping Current Matters that, we've gotten the market report. We've broken that down. Now let's look at what's happening on a national level and see what are the factors that are driving this. So this is a random poll, the Home Purchase Sentiment Index. Is it a good time to buy? This is really important, right? So like a third of people in May were still saying it's a good time to buy.
Right. That's just because of the pricing increases and stuff. People are getting a little bit scared.
It's so buyer weariness, which is going to decrease demand. We have an increase actually in terms of people saying, "Hey, holy crap, my house is worth X amount, so we're going to get more." So what that adds up to be is a flip of what we have, right? So we're going to have less buyers, more sitting inventory, which is great for buyers, right? So like it's going to start to shift and stagnate to where you have a little bit less competition. But for sellers, this is important. Like this is something where this is going to back up. Like if you're thinking about this plan, find your local expert and put it into action. Make it happen. Showing Time, just to break this down, right? So like Showing Time is the app that we use, very convenient and easy to schedule showings. Lets the seller know automatically and keeps everything kind of neat and orderly to where you don't have overlapping showings. And exactly with the curve, right? Like the increase in purchase price came, we had January, February, March, April, so we had higher increase.
Yeah, people out there, buyers out there trying to sell houses, just getting out there and seeing houses. That's what they're doing.
Heck yeah. And then it is decreasing here, which is funny because this matches up with what they're saying.
Yeah.
Those two things have a correlation there. So let's move on to the next one. Buyer fatigue. I made a post about this earlier this week. Like it's something where, I mean, we all tell them on the phone is this is it's a battlefield. Like I'm almost trying to talk people out of it before they do it. I'm like, hey, look, I'm here with you. We're gonna ride, but I want to let you know it's gonna be bumpy, and you got to have a strong stomach. And let's sit down beforehand. Let's break down the terms of the contract and go through what this process looks like.
That's exactly what we do. Is we educate our clients to make sure they're prepared ahead of time. They know what the escrow is, how important it is. They know about the inspection periods. They know about the whole process from surveys, appraisals, and the negotiating tactics that we use, escalation clauses, backup contracts. We tell you that all up front in our initial meeting, just so you're prepared when we go to make an offer. You know what you're getting into, and you know what to expect, and hopefully at that point you trust us enough to advise you to down the right path to get that winning offer.
Well, here's the thing, right? So like think about that on let's break that down a little bit differently, right? So it's hard. We're in the world and we see things from a different perspective. But let's say that I'm just a regular person, right? Like I'm not watching Zillow every day, and all of a sudden, like it hits me that I want this particular house. You drive by it, you love the outside of it, you look at it, you look up the pricing of it, maybe even get a pre-approval, right? So like I'm like, wow, like I can afford this less than what I'm renting for, which is the case for most people right now. Rental market is insane. So now I'm gonna call an agent and go and see the house. So that agent walks me in, I see the house, I love it, right? We get done and like, great, I want to make an offer. And the agent says, great, what do you want to offer? And who the hell's like, yeah, I want to pay 105% of the house.
Yeah.
Like
it's automatically gonna know that.
Nobody.
That's why you have to come in and be the expert, do your homework ahead of time on the houses to make sure we know the age of the roof, EC, any permitting. And we really educate ourselves on each and every house that we go out there and show. So by the time we get there, we already have those answers for them.
Yeah, and even on top of that, right? So like if we sit down for our appointment and I mean me, right? I'm gonna stick in that role. We're sitting, so instead of showing the house, we're like, it's terrible. Like from our side, for their side, it's stressful, right? Like you're not going to trust that person who's saying, yeah, overpay for the house. Like pay, it's 300,000. Yeah, let's go in at 315. Let's put 10,000 in escrow. Let's do a 3-day inspection. I've got an inspection company that can get in there. You're like, this dude's trying to rob me. Right?
But yeah, and that's where we come and we sit down with them ahead of time, and we explain our processes to them and how we work. One of the things that we do utilize is a single agent. We work as single agents.
Mm-hmm.
So as single agents, we have obligation to fiduciary
Responsibility.
responsibilities. That we make sure that we're working for you. And you understand that we have obedience, loyalty, and we work to the detriment of the other side. So I'm going to be fighting against that other agent for you. I'm going to use our negotiating skills to try to get as much information out of them. You'd be surprised what you can learn before you even walk into the house.
It's crazy, yeah. And even more than that, right? So like when you sit down in that meeting and we're getting to know each other, we're meeting each other, even if they express concern, right? So like we're not after the fact. I'm not the dude who's just like shown like the consumer who just walked in the house with a random agent. We sat down up front. I explained this, right? Now I'm like, hey man, you're gonna have to show me that because I don't believe you, right? Like we're sitting having coffee. We haven't seen the house yet. You're telling me, James, I need to get, you know, I want you to be prepared that many times we're going to go over asking, and I want you to know that I'm gonna know the data on that house before I suggest it because I don't want you to buy a house and it doesn't appraise. Um, so I'm gonna say, show me, and the beauty of that is that like we're not bullshitting. Like I'll pull it up in front of anybody. Like it's literally data. It's math and showing, hey, look, this person listed at 260, it sold for 275. This one listed at 250, it sold for 255, and we can do that up front. But after the fact, all I'm going to do is say you're crazy, right? And write it up at this, and then guess what? Like our rapport was broken, and that's going to be hard to repair and heal. Um, you're no longer the authority figure where you can actually advise. You know, the person who's maybe I bought 3 houses in my life, and I'm an expert.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like you know what I mean? Like I mean, I think you helped 8 families buy a home last month, and he's bought 3 houses in the course, or I bought 3 houses in the course of 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's really important to trust your agent. If you meet an agent, and it doesn't have to be us, but like if you meet an agent and you don't feel that love, you don't feel that trust with them, the process is not going to go well. You're going to be stressed. You're going to have constant questions. Who are you going to turn to? Yourself? I mean, you don't have access to the data, and that's where we come in. Really, is the access to the data, knowing how to use it, understanding how to help you accomplish your goals. So, in the case where you're looking to buy a house right now, I highly advise that you interview multiple agents and find the one that you believe and trust in. So, buyer, all that right led up to this. Buyers are getting pounded, and when you get pounded, at some point you're going to quit. I mean, it's just the way it is. Like, if you don't win in a certain amount of time, you're going to get beaten so bad. Imagine, I mean, we had Karen recently had a client that went through the trenches. I love you, Mindy and Kenny, but you went through the trenches. I mean, 15, 16, 17 contracts to go under contract. Thing is, as long as we're on the same page and we're fighting together, we've got your back, right? Like we're going to run through it. And it's a tough game right now. That's not for everybody. There's certain like conditions and things that go into it, but it's a tough game right now. So this is real interesting, right? So we were talking about this on the car ride over. You know, the one of the most uh, consistent things that we see in terms of buyers is partially true, but I think in their mind it's exaggerated, right? So we're seeing the buyer demand come down, active inventory is going to come back up. So with those two factors, yeah, like it's going to be a less competitive market where you can get a house for I see a slow decline, but like we're talking very slow at this point because the houses are appraised at those points and sellers are going to hold out. But I mean, when
and what I'm seeing is just there's a leveling off right now. Like you said, there's the buyer pool is coming down, inventory is going up. I don't see any drastic changes like marketing crash or anything, but there's going to be a plateau. It's going to start leveling off, maybe come down just a little bit, but it's really just going to be leveling off from here on through the end of the year, probably from October to December.
so, and we're going to go into some of that, right? Because uh, news is what drives all this, right? Like tons of people in forbearance. This is going on. I'm not going to discount any of that, right? A lot of people took up on the opportunity not to make a mortgage payment, but what people perceive is 2009, 10, 11, 12, where you could get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Spring Hill for 70,000.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't see that.
Data doesn't support that.
No.
Anytime soon.
I mean, even the we're going to dive into forbearance later, but even the people in forbearance, I mean, there's a slide there. Only 4% have less than 10% equity in their home. And the reason that 10% number is important is when you figure out commissions, closing costs, everything, It's actually a little under that, but like let's say 10% was the number you needed in order to break even on the sale of your house. 96% of homeowners right now have more than that.
So you can, I mean, there's a couple of different options there, but one of them is, I mean, you have equity in your house, why not sell it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Get yourself out of that
get
position.
yourself out of there, you know, make sure that, and we'll help you out with that. Will help you get the most money for your property as possible, and we'll get you into the next one as the best rate possible also.
And even to elaborate on that, because I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this, that are going to watch this video, are maybe not right here in the Spring Hill, you know, Hernando County, Pasco County area. I don't care where you are, right? Like if you're looking at a situation where your loan has not been modified and you are coming out of deferment soon and you don't know what's going to happen, please call an expert. Like call a real estate agent. Call 6 of them, call 20 of them. Find the one that you have some rapport with and know your solutions beforehand. Because if you foreclose with these market conditions, shame on you. Absolutely shame on you. And there, you have so much out there. You have so many people that can help you. And all you have to do is ask. Don't be scared. Don't stay in the ball of like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Panic and fear. No. Maybe this isn't the solution that happens. Maybe your loan does get modified. It gets tacked on the back. That's awesome. Know plan B. Know what it's going to look like. Know what you would do, where you would go, how you would rent, what would happen in the case that you did that. And you need a local expert for that. And if you don't know anybody and you'd rather us find it for you, we have a network of 60,000 agents across the world. So we're going to help you find that person. But if you just call them, please, like, don't be in that spot. Like, don't do that.
Never get out of a situation. There's help out there for everybody.
For sure, for sure. And so tuning this back a little bit, right? So on the phone, a lot of what I've been hearing, and tell me if I'm crazy here, if somebody is interested, but the current market is driving them crazy, you're like, oh no, I'm just waiting to see if the bubble comes.
All the data supports that there is no bubble. Like I said, 96% of people
In forbearance.
have some equity in their house. They can sell. They can catch up. And actually, I saw that email earlier from our local Florida real estate experts saying that there's three things that people are doing right now. They're either paying off their house or catching up on their payments. They're refinancing or selling their house.
Yeah.
Those are the three ways to get out of forbearance right now. You know, that has dropped down. I think it's been cut in half in the last few months.
Well, I mean, let's even pop back, right? So like so many people said this to me prior to January, right? Oh, I'm just gonna wait and I'm just gonna wait for the bubble, this and that. Meanwhile, if they wanted to buy a house today, talking about today, let's see here, where we at? We got, which one was it? Median sale price. If they called me prior to January, they lost 40,000. That ain't a joke. Like this is from SunStats, Florida Realtors. This is aggregate data, 210 to 243. So 33,000 is what that cost them because they wanted to look at the news, and this is what we do, right? Like, and if you question our character, please go to another realtor, right? Like if you don't believe that when I'm showing you something and I'm trying to help you through something, that I'm fluffing something or deviating something, or Joel or anybody with my team, go call another realtor, but call me because I want to know that. And I mean, no, it just doesn't happen. So going back to the talking points, let's go months of inventory, homes for sale. So this is showing pretty much everything that we were talking about, right? Like we've got inventory goes down and all of a sudden we've got a slight uptick, which is what we're talking about, how there's a little bit less buyer demand and more listings coming up. But we still have a long ways from that neutral market and an even longer way from the buyer's market. There you go. 33,400 average gain in equity of mortgage homes. Current average equity of mortgage homes is 216,000. Almost 40% of people own their house outright.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? 19.6 increase in equity, totaling over 1.9 trillion. That's crazy. backing up the data.
Inventory starting to inch up. That's good news for the people that are out there trying to buy. You're going to have a little bit more of a choice.
And inventory is going up. I mean, that's basically what this is. Same thing that the local data supports. This is on a national level. Lawrence Yun constantly dropping tons of insightful information for everybody to read. He's a great guy to follow, right? If you want to go on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, find Lawrence Yun. Great guy, extremely smart guy. Inventory levels of single family homes. So this is again, congruent on the national level and the local level. So the sellers are catching up, right? Like they're seeing, like they saw the hike coming into January, and now all of a sudden, like the last hike's that's severe. That's 10-15% over a course of 3 or 4 months.
Now they're starting to wake up and realize that maybe right now it's time to sell.
Yeah. And all sorts of reasons, right? Sell to get to the thing you want. Sell and rent. I've seen that a bunch of times. I've seen sell and go to a travel trailer.
That's right now. Trailers are in high demand, and even those are going up overpriced. People are starting to open up and being able to travel more.
I mean,
that's amazing.
You can cash out for $200,000 and take a drive, right? Like that's amazing. That really is huge, right? So with those big price increases, I run into this quite often where people want to price way beyond where they should. And here's the thing, right? Like that's where we come in, is we got to break down pricing. If you don't know, I love getting people the most money possible, and I have a history of it. But there's a structure and a process to doing it. You have a ton of buyers out there. Don't go beyond the moon with the old theory of, well, I can always come down.
What you're going to do is you're going to discount your house from a lot of searches. A lot of people are going to just discount your house and not even look at it, even when you do bring it back down.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, so fear of loss. Why is there 5-10 offers on every house? Because people have been pounded. They're so afraid to lose a house that comes on the market and they really want it. So they're putting the offers in. If your house is priced beyond where somebody can make a rational decision to buy your house, you get no offers. Now you're 2 weeks on the market.
People are thinking, what's wrong with this house?
In a market like this, that's so crazy. Like it used to be like 30, 60 days. Like, oh shit, there's something wrong with that one. Now it's like 14 days.
So you make it through a weekend, sometimes that can really affect the house.
Yeah.
You have to reduce it right away, especially if you're not getting any kind of showings or offers. Then the market's telling you you're overpriced. You need to come down.
The best is when I call an agent and it's been on the market for one day. I'm like, hey, I just wanted to see when you're taking highest and best. This is Jen's move. Hey, when are you taking highest and best by? And like, there's 2 responses, right? There's like, oh, well, we got a ton of showings, but no offers. We have offers, or 3 responses. Sellers deciding on Monday, or number 3, which is my personal favorite. It just listed yesterday. Okay.
They don't know how crazy the market
The first
is.
one in a while. Yeah. It's like I like, you kind of know right there. Oh man. Again, price appreciation will moderate as rates and inventory rise later this year. Everything backing it up, right? Like it makes sense that if this is something that you want to accomplish, now is the best time in history. Highest prices, highest demand, like stupid. Like if anything that I mean, Jen, like jokingly, like this house, we've thought about it, right? Like it's a joke. It's crazy. Forecast for the second half of the year. So this is going back in, right? Looking at Freddie, Fannie, everyone's projections on interest rates. This is super important too, right? Like we didn't do the slide of what the cost is, but the cost of waiting is pretty severe here when it comes to third quarter of this year to second quarter of next year. If those projections are right, that's 0.4 of a point.
0.4 of a point is going to be hundreds of dollars on your mortgage.
Yeah.
A month.
Yeah, and by the time you get there, if you're hoping on so everyone's hoping on this, right? They're hoping on up, 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 down. But what if it's more like this, where it's up, 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 and then it's just a slow creep? Guess what? You waited that time hoping on something that didn't happen, and you've got a higher interest rate. So you're going to pay more for your house because you still need a house, and you're going to pay more for your monthly mortgage, and you've lost 6-7 months worth of rent at $1,000 to $2,000 a month. It's just foolish. Yep. Home price forecast. So again, equity going up. No matter who they talk to, who they look at, everybody's the appreciation of houses is going to continue to climb. Backing it up. Builder confidence slips a little bit. So like this makes sense, right? Like we got builders who are like, hiking the price up, going crazy, and then
in some cases not appraising, which is crazy. So the builders are taking your money, their escrow, they're waiting till the house is almost done. They do the appraisal and it doesn't appraise. So then you just wasted all that time. They do give you your escrow back, but now you've wasted time and money, just even trying to see if it's going to work for you or not. I've seen a couple builders starting to scale back on their price increases, and I've seen a couple instances where they actually did price reduction. You haven't heard of price reduction in months.
no, not from a builder. And that's one of the things that we were all pushing new construction real heavy. Rewind back here, I feel like that was probably leading up to like March, maybe, like is where it started to get kind of stupid. But it was real good for a while, right? It was like, it's a no-brainer. You can buy the new one for the same price as a resale, and you don't have to fight people for it. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, whew, they went straight up with it.
Yeah, construction was behind the curve from resales as far as pricing increases, and now that's
Yeah. Percent of mortgages in forbearance decreasing. So, it's not, oh my God, forbearance, the moratorium's coming up and all these other different things that are happening. And it's over time, it's coming down. And the reason being is that banks don't want to foreclose. When they foreclose, it costs them a lot of money in terms of lawyer fees and what the process they've got to go through. So we're seeing a decline in forbearance, which is good for you guys to know. The news is meant to scare the shit out of us. That's the purpose, and it makes us do things. Share of mortgages, this is the slide that we were talking about earlier in this. So share of mortgages in forbearance with less than 10% equity. Only 4% have less than 10% equity of the ones that are in forbearance. And that 10% mark is where you can, now anything above that, you can sell at a profit. Do not, if you're in forbearance right now, call your servicer, ask them what are the terms upon completion of that forbearance. And if you need to pay for your 6 months of forbearance in full, do you have that? If you don't have that, what are the options that the servicer is going to provide you? And if none of those are appeasing or make sense to you, call your local expert, please. Right then. That's the steps, right? If you're in forbearance, call your servicer, know exactly what it's going to look like. Don't be scared of it. Go to the doctor and get that lump checked out.
Going through all the way through foreclosure is going to cost you a lot more in the end.
You're going to have a foreclosure. You can't buy a house for 7 years. You're going to have who knows?
It's going to go down the drain.
Yeah, all that equity.
It's going to cost you a lot more because you don't have that credit. If you want to buy a car later on down the road, you can't buy a house for 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, are you really willing to risk your pride for all that? I mean, ask for help. Reach out to a local expert and ask for help.
Housing inventory. So I like how they put Florida in the one very different color, because some of these other ones I'm guessing they're all blues, but 0 to 5% month over month change in housing inventory. So
Florida's is going really slow because there's so much.
Yep. The only places where McBride told me he could envision a bubble bursting are locations where urban residents bought second homes in a panic, only to have the urban core quickly get vaccinated and normalize in 21. We might see some price declines in the second home areas, like small towns in New England and other beach towns on the East Coast. But even there, we just might see a shift where more people decide they like owning second homes from the Atlantic.
So second homes are like investment, not necessarily investment homes, rentals.
Yeah, it's people's secondary. Yep.
Rentals or somebody's summer homes, stuff like that.
There it is. Like, second home surged, primary home went up. So like primary home went up what you would expect, 4 to 9%, 2 to 27% in second home, which I was talking to you about. Like, I feel like it was maybe a little bit of like the risk of their money being held in different areas right now, right? Like commodity is super volatile, stocks are super volatile, Bitcoin's super volatile. And I know the housing market's increasing, but land's always worth something. So they'd rather put that in something secure on the back end and cash out while it's good because everything was up there. And I thought that's my personal opinion, not an economist, not any kind of financial advisor. Put that out here in this video. Yeah. Investments were down. And I mean, that in some ways that makes a lot of sense because if the prices are real high, people are going to buy less on the investment side because they have less skin.
Yeah.
Home sales forecast to increase nicely into 2021. So this is super congruent.
Yeah, we went over this slide on a little different slide earlier where everybody agreed that prices are still going to go up.
This is a pretty good one. Home buyers, interest rates are still historically low, though they are inching up. Housing prices have spiked during the last 6 to 9 months. I mean, that's for sure. But we don't expect them to fall soon. So we believe they are more likely to keep rising. If you are looking to purchase a new home, conditions now may be better than 12 months hence. It's from JP Morgan, spot on, backing up everything that we're saying. And again, just throwing us out there, guys, this is everything, right? Like we live in a wonderful world. The news is constantly pounding us, and I understand it, right? Like we have to stay informed. We have to know what events are going on in the world, but don't let that stuff beat you up. Whether it's about the housing market and all the forbearances that are coming, or it's about COVID and all the terrible things happening in the world, you can take that information, internalize it, make the changes that you need to make, but remember to go out in public and show love to people because right now I've said this on other videos, but the times since COVID, it's getting better now. I feel like people are opening back up, but I remember after 9/11, I was pretty young. I mean, like that was a long time ago, but I remember everybody being scared of each other, right? Like they had the whole thing in the back of people's heads where there could be, somebody living next door that's trying to do something bad, and like people were very edgy with each other. This is way worse, right? Like when it was because they're afraid that you can hurt me, right? So like, and you can hurt me by being within 6 feet of me. What? So like, I don't care. Stay 6 feet away from them. Smile. Ask people how they're doing. Show them some love because people need more of that in their lives.
Just don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
So the news is just doing that.
Exactly right. Hey guys, this is James Adams and Joel Jaimes from the Adams Group Experience coming out here just to show you guys a little bit about what's going on the back end. I hope that you were able to get something out of this. If you guys ever need anything at all, please give us a call here at the Adams Group Experience. We'd love to help. And you want to send them off?
I will thank you for watching this video. And again, my phone number is 813-850-9637. You can call us at any time. We're here for you.
Heck yeah. Hey guys, have a great day. Make the most out of every single one of them.